And welcome everyone to another episode. So today we're going to talk about something that we've been getting some questions about, some people have been concerned about, and that has been this new strain of the COVID-19 virus. And that's been making the news lately. A lot of people have been talking about that. And so there's been lots of information, and I'm sure lots of misinformation. And so, Dad, talking about this new strain, is this something to be concerned about?
Well, yeah, it is real, the fact that we have a new mutation. I mean, this is something that to be expected. The more people get with infection, the more chances are that there's a new mutation can take place. Now, in regard to this new mutation, we don't have to really have a lot of concern, because the number of deaths is not going to increase. I mean, so the disease is not going to be worse than what we got right now. The number of deaths probably more, because this new strain has the capability to be more contagious, which means there's more virus. We can produce more of these viruses in our body, which is going to put more people on risk to get transmitted with the disease. So now, the important thing is that we got to know is that our human behavior, it is very important, because the more people that get infected, the more chances for mutations are, because this virus goes into our cells. It needs a host. So it goes inside our cells, then it hijack our nucleus, our DNA material. And it actually it makes its own genetic material to reproduce the viruses within our own cells. So fortunately, there's 23 different changes on this new virus, which makes it more contagious. Okay? But the good thing is that it only affects the spike, which is the outer part, the protein that covers the outer part of this virus. So mainly what is going to happen is going to be more capability to go inside our cells and get more control of our cells. Okay? No more disease. Okay, so that's the good news. The bad news is that we can transmit it faster and quicker, which is going to put more people that are vulnerable with a possibility of having the illness, which is the COVID-19.
So is that the main difference? Is that it's more contagious than the previous strain?
That is correct. No. Now, it is common for this mutation. For example, if we're talking about the flu virus, okay, the flu virus is something that most of the world, in almost every part of the world, this virus is going to, affect, a lot of people. So now it's not as dangerous as the SARS-CoV-2, which will produce like COVID-19. No? But because so many people get infected with the flu, the mutation somewhere in the world, there's going to be a mutation. So in different parts of the world, there's going to be a mutation. So now we have every year a new flu virus. That's the reason why, even if you are immune to the virus of last year, this year, somewhere, because it was in somebody's, the virus was in somebody else's life, a mutation was produced. Now, the chances of mutations now are greater, because humans have more mutations now than they had in the past. It's more sickness. So when this virus is inside our cells, it already has some kind of mutations. So the engagement between the sequence of the RNA, which is the genetic material, with our own DNA, this interaction can actually create a mutation. So the virus can produce a new type of virus. It takes a long time. It's just not in every single human. You got to go from one person, then transmit it to another person, and then another person, and then eventually there's going to be a mutation somewhere. So as I say, the key, and this is one of the things that we got to understand, regardless whether you're healthy or not, okay, let's say if we all decide, okay, let's get through this, let's get all get infected. Okay. And, some people will die because there's going to be vulnerability to some people. That doesn't get us free from the problem. So if out of the 8 billion people that live in this earth, 7 billion are infected, there's a big chance that you're going to have quite a few mutations. So next year, okay, if you went through this infection this year, you probably did okay. Next year might come a different mutation, which is stronger. It may really affect you badly, even though this year it didn't produce any problem to you.
That's so interesting, because one of the, I guess, the arguments, so to speak, against some of these restrictions and guidelines that we've been having lately has been, well, just everyone needs to get it. Just let everyone get it right now. But I think that's something that people don't realize, that, and I didn't even realize that the more people get it, the more chances there are of mutations.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of other issues. For example, our health system in the United States and in any place in the world, it is ready to deal with every potential case of COVID-19. Right now in the United States, most of the hospitals are in full with patients that, and we don't have the structure. There is no way, how you can have 500,000 people in the hospital dealing with the COVID-19, issues. There's no way. Right now we are about 100,000, and it's just a challenge everywhere because this is a specialty treatments. If you have a pulmonary issue due to the COVID-19, and in most countries it's the same. So if a lot of people are infected, there's going to be more vulnerable people that are going to be going to hospitals, which creates a problem. We don't have the capability. The other part is hospital has to be arranged to hold more people. And then those other people that need a surgery because they have an emergency, a heart attack or anything like that, could die because hospitals are not capable of taking it, because they're dealing with a major problem in their own community. So that's a problem. We can break the health system. And the other problem is mutations. So you don't want mutations. So, right now, a number of people have been infected in the world, fortunately. I would say that about 55% of people are more thoughtful. They understand the principle of using masks, distance, avoiding being in these big meetings. And that's very smart to do because you are helping, helping yourself, helping others. It is some kind of compassion towards other people, okay? And avoiding in the future these number of mutations that can keep coming back to us. So as I said, fortunately, these mutations is happening on the outer part, on the spike, okay, which means the vaccine that we have right now is still good to help us, immunize against this, even against this new strain of virus.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to my next question was whether or not this new vaccine would actually work if there's a mutation.
Yeah, because luckily all the vaccines has been made to assure that the immune cells in our body recognize and it stops the process of reproducing for this virus. When they get into our body, so we got the immunization, and this is what we need. So it's good for now. We're fine. Hopefully, we are more thoughtful and think about this. There's nothing wrong with feeling that you're safe, that you're strong, that you're healthy. Okay, but think about your child, because we don't want to go over this, next year again with another 2 or 3 mutations. No, we don't want to go again in 10 years or in 20 years. So we got to be smart. We got technology. We can perhaps do something. No. And the problem is sometimes we're thinking is we're suffering because we are in a lockdown or we are restrained from having these dances and parties and groups. No, we want to do that. It's fun. It's good to enjoy your friends. But that's not suffering. No, suffering is what is happening in maybe in Africa, somewhere in India, where there's no food. We are in a lockdown, watching TV, with our families, And what kind of suffering is that? It's just we're doing a little bit together. We're helping to assure that there is no more of these contagious, transmissions. We're just helping humanity. We're helping not only ourselves. Maybe we're not concerned with our health. We think we're okay, we're fine, but we never know. We don't want a mutation that it takes place, in a different part of the virus, because then we start all over again with a new vaccine, which is so difficult to put together. It was a marathon getting a vaccine. It's been done in a short time, and it's great. Most people probably don't believe in vaccine. They might be even going through a lot of this stuff that is going through the social media. Okay, this is different. This is not the flu. Okay, Normally I won't recommend a vaccine for flu to anybody unless you have a respiratory issue and a serious health issues. A serious pulmonary problem. But this is a different game. So it's not about only possibility of people dying, okay, but also possibility of getting new mutations in the future.
Mm. So then, and you've kind of addressed this a little bit, but what are some ways that we can start guarding our health against the? We'll keep it to COVID. Like, what are ways that we can? What are things that we can do to start guarding our health?
Well, we need to strengthen our immune system, and the way to do it is have a good night's sleep every night. Go to sleep early, okay? Don't go past 10 to 11. Wake up early. Expose yourself to the sun. That helps to produce vitamin D. 20 minutes early in the morning. Do physical activity that helps to strengthen the immune system. Vitamin D, it does it too. Going to sleep, it helps with detoxificating your body every day when you're sleeping. Eat healthy. Avoid having sugars and some of these processed flour. And of course, stress. It's a way to avoid inflammatory chemicals, flooding through a bloodstream, because that will affect and put up too much cortisol in the bloodstream will affect your immune system. So that's mainly what we have to do. Deal with the stress. You need help. Please contact us. Do some kind of physical activity. Even if you are in a wheelchair, you still can do something. Okay. Do a walk, maybe dance. I don't know. Anything you love to do. For me, is running. It's what I love to do. And dancing with my grandkids. Hey, by the way, where is my grandkid? Is she sleeping?
No, they're upstairs.
Okay, good. It was nice. You saw that video about me dancing with her.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, anyways, anything that it moves, it helps your immune system move, and you'll be healthy. And this is some of the things that particularly will help you a lot. You can avoid, junk food, because that creates inflammation, of course.
So real quick, going back to the sunlight in the morning for vitamin D, because I know we've talked about this before in the past, and people have asked the question, do vitamin D like tablets, like taking supplements, does that have the same effect? Is that helpful?
Well, when there is existing inflammatory issues due to stress or some other conditions, normally in the process of digesting, this supplement, sometimes, it just don't work well. Because we might have some issues with absorption of nutrients. We might have some other conditions in our intestine or maybe somewhere else. So, and the pathway in the process of utilizing these supplements, cannot be maximized. So the best way to make vitamin D is get in front of the sun in the morning before 11. Expose yourself. You can do it through the glass in your window or patio door window, or do it 20 minutes. That's your skin. Do magics. Okay, initiate the makeup of the vitamin D, and then the liver. Wrap it up and make the amount that your body needs.
Awesome. And yeah, and one thing I will also comment on is, like you mentioned, definitely one of the most important things for improving our immune system is addressing stress, and improving our really improving our mental health and how we manage stress and anxiety. And that's something that we're going to continue to talk about on this show. And we talk about that on Facebook, on all of our social media channels. And so yeah, we'll definitely get into that more as we continue with this show. But Ed, before we wrap up, do you have any, I guess, closing thoughts or remarks?
Well, it's been a difficult year for many people. Every life count. We're getting closer to about 400,000 people have died due to this pandemic. This is not just a small thing. From the beginning, a lot of people that didn't have the understanding, they were saying, okay, it's just a flu. Then other people were saying, oh, okay, don't worry, more people die from the flu. And that is not the truth. Okay. Numbers are totally different. As a matter of fact, even when you look at death in a given year in the United States, okay, if you're looking at the total number of deaths, we're looking at somewhere around, 7,000 people die daily in the United States for a lot of different causes, from accidents to, to heart problems or diabetes. So there is around 7,000 people die daily from 3,000 different health issues. And now in the United States, there is the latest report was over 3,700 people dying daily from COVID. So as you can see, all this rhetoric about this not being something we really have to care about because few people would die, it never was scientifically. It wasn't truth. When you're looking at 7,000 people die daily for every single possible death, from sickness to accidents to suicide. So this is over half the amount of people die for only one thing, which is this pandemic, compared to the 3,000 other possible cause of death in the United States. So, fortunately, about 55% of the people, they've been thoughtful. They've been using masks, they've been keeping distance, they've been avoiding crowds, and that group has been helping to avoid, a bigger number of deaths. So let's not make this issue any issue related to competing with ideas. No, this is about compassion and about we as humans. We've always been helping each other in difficult situations. In World War II, there was a threat in Europe. The whole world went together to protect humanity. Now, this is a real war with a virus. We can come together. I don't like masks. It bothers me. Okay. But, it's about compassion. I don't want to transmit this and, have a new virus next year. I don't want to deal with this. A year is enough, maybe a year and a half. Why to go through this for 3 years? Mm-hmm. Okay. This can really affect our economy, affects everything, affects, the mental state. So why don't you just get it over? Let's help. Okay. Let's do what we can to come together as a humanity, avoid political sides on this. This is not about that stuff. This is just about we coming together as humans. No. If we see somebody in the street that's been hurt, normally most people will go and help. Yeah, that's what happens. So why not to just do our part, and let's come together, showing what we really are. Let's put aside our political, mindset, and let's form a real unity through all this. Let's get over with and help others.
100%. And one thing that came to mind as you were talking was, one thing that's been interesting about this whole time, this pandemic, is how many layers there are to it. Because there's not just the health part, but obviously, business have been affected, people's jobs, finances, relationships, etc. And I know we kind of talked about this before, but I think as you were talking, I don't know why, what popped to my head was I think we should, I think will also be helpful for our viewers is to also start bringing on maybe this show, or maybe we make a different series, but like maybe we start bringing on like other business owners, people who have been able to adjust to the pandemic. I think that'll be helpful as we continue on to talk about health, as well as maybe bring on some people who can talk about maybe a little bit also like the finance side or like the relationship side. And yeah, that's just something that came to mind just now.
Yeah, it sounds good. Let's just address the issues. And as you mentioned, one of the issues we have to address is the mental state, stress particularly. So it's something we're going to come out in the next shows. And we'll bring some business people to bring up their part and their ideas so they can inspire other people too.
Yeah, because we really want you guys to have all the tools that you need, but I think at the end of the day, the base, the foundation has to be the mental aspect, because it doesn't matter if we bring on the best business expert who did wonderfully during 2020, if you don't have that mental aspect taken care of, like it's not even going to matter.
See, on the following shows, we're going to talk about a lot of different topics, anywhere between sleep, importance of sleep, and the attitude and the intentions, and how we can build and restructure our brain. So in that way, we can use our mind, for the purpose of living healthy and also achieve, joy and happiness.
Awesome. All right. Well, hope you guys have a fantastic day. And that's all we got. Have a great day.
Thank you.